All right, this is take two of today's Ask Me Anything About Summer Camp. And I'm really excited today to have Sarah Coulias with me. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So I've had Sarah on before in my Happy Campers interview series. She's the owner-director of Yosemite Sierra Summer Camp and Emerald Cove Day Camp. And we were actually together this morning doing a talk together, actually a live podcast recording. And so I invited her to join me for today's Ask Me Anything About Summer Camp. So each Wednesday, this April and May, I am spending a few minutes on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific time answering a commonly asked question about summer camp. So if you have a question, something that you're wondering about camp, please feel free to comment here or send me an email at audrey@sunshine-parenting.com, and I'd be happy to have your question be one of the ones we cover. Today's question is actually, what can you say to a child who is just really like hesitant and anxious about going to camp? And it's very applicable because it was actually a question that we got this morning.
We did, and it's not unusual for any child, even an adult, to be a little worried about a place they've never been before and what they might experience.
So we're just going to share a few suggestions. If you are thinking that camp would be really good for your child and that it would be great for them to have this opportunity to have this adventure away from home for a week or two or more during the summer, but your child is not enthusiastic about the idea. What are some things or suggestions that you have of things parents can say to their child in talking to them about this experience?
Well, I think I would start with asking, what is it about a summer camp experience that you're anxious about, or that you're not looking forward to, or that you're worried about? Because it may or may not be what we think it is. It might be afraid of missing out on what's going on at home. It may be afraid of not making a friend or afraid of being homesick. And so identifying first what the issues are so that we can tackle them.
Absolutely. I think also the unknown is also hard. I think that's for adults and kids. So if you can familiarize your child more with the camp, there's some day camps where you can tour, and actually resident camps too.
Yes.
Often you can tour the summer before. So if you're anticipating that your child has a tough time with new things, it might be a good idea to plan like way far in advance and plan a time where you can go tour a camp, maybe with Camp in Action, so your kid can see what it feels like and get a sense of that. And that sometimes is enough to make them feel like, okay, I got this. So it's not such this weird thing that they don't know about.
Sure. And so many camps now have really full websites with great videos to go in and kind of get the vibe of the place and just kind of lower that anxiousness about, I don't know what it'll be like. Many camps have families you can call and ask questions about what was it like the first time you went, or what's your favorite thing about them. So just helping that kiddo explore more on their terms.
Yes. Or even meeting another child who's
absolutely.
been, that connecting with another kid who can talk to them about what it's really like, that can sometimes help. So part of it, so you're right, you kind of have to identify first, what is it about the experience? Because it may not just be being away from home. It might be they don't know what it is about, or if they would like the activities. So you're right, just getting to know it a little bit better might be helpful. So one of the other things that came up a lot, and this just goes not just for camp, but any kind of experience that our children are hesitant about, is just that idea of reinforcing that it's normal to feel a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of stress when you're doing something new.
Absolutely.
And even adults feel that, where you're going into something and you're not sure if you're going to be good at it, if you'll know anyone there. And so there's just that normal amount of anxiety that we need to normalize for our kids. In the book that I keep talking about, Under Pressure, Lisa Damour talks about how we've now have kids who are anxious about being anxious. So we have made it seem like being anxious is a bad thing, when in fact there is a normal amount of anxiety or stress that goes along with anything new that we do, even as adults.
Yes. And in fact, even if you could call anxiety your friend for your kids, because anxiety helps us get ready for something we're anticipating. And if we can help kids understand, anxiety actually is our partner and is our friend. It
Yeah.
just kind of gets me amped up for the next thing.
Yeah, like in sports, like, I mean, this is so silly because I do like running races and I'm not winning any races or anything, but I get a little nervous and my heart
Sure.
rate goes up before the race even begins, just in anticipation
Mm-hmm.
of doing like a 5K, you know? And I think that's a normal thing to let our kids know that that's okay. So that's a big part of it, is for them to hear from us that their feelings are normal and that it's okay to be a little nervous and feel a little anxious.
Absolutely.
So reassure them and normalize those feelings. What are some really important messages? Say that as a parent, you've decided to send your child to camp, they're signed up, they're ready to go, and they start kind of like, I don't know if
second thoughts.
Yeah. What are some suggestions or things that you can, that parents can say to their kids?
Oh, I think just that constant voice of, I love you and I believe in you. Trust me, I would never put you in an environment that you weren't ready for, but I've seen these things in you and I know you're ready. I think we draw so much confidence from the mirrors around us.
Yep.
And if I see my mommy anxious about something, I'm going to get anxious too. But we can just keep saying, I believe in you. I believe in you.
I don't know if you've had this experience, but I've had parents say to me in front of their kids, oh, I don't think he's ready for camp. And whenever I hear that, part of me wants to say, wait, first of all, don't say that in front of your kid, because who knows whether or not it's true. But I think sometimes, do you get the idea that maybe the parent's not ready for the experience?
Much of the time. And that's okay too. A lot of us as parents were reticent. We've been spending so much time protecting this kiddo and being in every new experience they had. And it's a big deal to let our child grow away from us a little bit. And so parents, you're normal if you're feeling that anxiety, but we really need to kind of, share that with a spouse or a partner or a friend, a peer, and not lay that burden on our kids, because there are many children who feel responsible for their parents' feelings and will choose. I've had a camper, a young man, he was about 13, and he told me, I can't enjoy camp too much because it'll make my mom sad.
Oh no.
And because he just knew that it was such a stretch for her, and they had a really sweet, loving relationship. But we had a good talk about it, and we actually conversed with mom and kind of compromised on how he could enjoy camp and grow and love camp and still be loyal to her.
Yeah, that's a really great example. And I don't think parents realize the power they have, that their feelings are so taken on by their kids.
Right.
So that confidence, I think, like Sarah said, if you are feeling nervous about it or you're not sure if camp's a good fit for your child, it's good to talk to someone else, like another adult, about it, and see, there's some readiness questionnaires. I even have some on my website, like, to go through your own thought process of, is this really a good time for my child to do this or not? But not voice those opinions in front of your child. I think that's really important.
Right.
That's really, because I think, and it goes for more than just camp, I think. A lot of times our kids hear us saying all kinds of things about whether they're ready for something or not. And if they're hearing from us a lot of confidence, that's really important. So I think be careful of what they're overhearing you say to other people too. And they should hear a lot of just real positive statements. Yes, it could be challenging. Yes, you're nervous. That's normal. And you know what? You are so ready for this. I've seen you, do this new sports team. I've seen you, so just building them up is so important on that.
I think too, giving them some tools so they, feel empowered.
Yes.
So reminding them that they're going to have a camp counselor who's their person, and saying, don't forget to tell your camp counselor if you're afraid of the dark, or if you're homesick, or you need help with this. That's your camp counselor's job, and that counselor is all in for you. And really equipping that kiddo to rely on that grown-up, and not thinking their parent is the only grown-up.
Oh my gosh.
And
so
then
important.
practicing those pieces of make a new friend, role-playing, making a new friend, introducing yourself. Or if it's a sleepaway camp and they've never slept away, now's the time to have a sleepover with a family member or a friend, and kind of practice that and debrief that. You did that. You did that so well. And now that's awesome. I know you can do it for 5 days or 2 weeks.
Right. So I think that's just a big part of it, is just being, even though, you know that it might be hard, and that's okay too. Even if camp is hard and the adjustment takes a few days for your child, there are some kids for whom like the first couple days of camp are difficult. It's challenging for them. So understanding that if you have a child who it might be hard for at first, that it's still okay, and they will feel such a sense of confidence from accomplishing this and for doing it, even though maybe they didn't have a lot of confidence in themselves. So I think that's just really important. A couple of recommendations. The Michael Thompson's book, Homesick and Happy.
Great book.
Such a good book. And honestly, it's good not just about camp, it's good about life, like launching your child out into the world. It just talks about the importance that our kids need these experiences away from us to grow. And whether that's camp or something else, it's so important that they have some times where they are not right there with you and get a chance to just spread their own wings. Like Sarah said, learn to ask for help from other people besides parents. It's so important. Julie Lithcott-Hames writes a lot in her book, How to Raise an Adult, about the issue of college students who don't feel that they can talk to the dean of students or figure out their classes without their mom or dad on the phone with them while they're having the meeting. So these are, 18, 19, 20-year-olds who don't feel comfortable going in and having a meeting with an adult who is a professional in that field. And camp is such a great practice ground for that, because they have counselors, head counselors, camp directors, nurses, all these people around them. And when your kid learns how to go to other adults or solve some problems on their own, that gives them such this great sense of like independence and confidence. It's really, really important that our kids get that feeling. So if you have a child who's just, some kids are just, everything is harder. Everything new is harder. And we feel for you on that. I will let you know, I know Sarah feels the same way. Those are some of my favorite campers.
Yes.
We know that at summer camp, those are the kids who often benefit the most from the experience. So if you're, if you're worried about your child going to camp, I would really recommend calling the camp director who's at the camp, talking to them about, your child and what they need, and let them know that you're concerned that they might have some anxiety at the beginning or, that kind of thing. And then just rest assured that the counselors and the camp personnel will really do a lot to help your child feel comfortable and get adjusted quickly to camp.
I think the more insight you can give them into how to help your child succeed, then they're not starting on ground zero. They're a couple steps up of the ladder even before that. And also, I would recommend setting your child up for success by not saying, if you don't like it or if you're sad, I'll come get you right away. Because that reinforces to that child that I don't think they can do that. And most good camps will work long and hard with parents and with kids to help them get over that anxiety hump and over that homesickness hump. And, after 2 or 3 days, almost every homesick issue has abated. There's a few that will linger. And again, keep working at it, because when that camper realizes that he made it all the way through the session, he feels confident and mighty, and what an important quality to transition home with.
Yeah. Well, we were, earlier today, our talk was about grit. It's going to be a podcast episode coming out soon. We recorded it live at Pegasus School. And when you were talking, I was just thinking it's that same thing of, we need our kids to know that feeling uncomfortable means you're growing. And so you don't want to give your kid the message that if you feel at all uncomfortable, that's a bad thing. I'm going to jump in and get you and come get you. And even that emotional pain of feeling really, really homesick. I had that experience as a camper when I was 8 years old, and tears on the postcard and everything. And it's a real tough feeling. Not all kids have it. Some kids do. Sometimes kids have it who parents don't anticipate will.
That's true.
And then other times parents think their child's going to be like really homesick and they're not. But either way, you don't want to send your child into any new experience telling them that if it's at all hard or uncomfortable, I will come in and get you or rescue you. That's not a good message to give, because you're not then empowering your child with the words, you know what, this could be uncomfortable. And when I've done new things, it's been uncomfortable for me. And it feels so great when you work through that and you challenge yourself and you overcome it. There's nothing better than that feeling of, I was scared, I was challenged, I was, uncomfortable. And then now look at me, I feel so good, that I did this.
Absolutely.
So.
I think too, parents, if you're feeling that a little bit of anxiousness, even as that camper heads off to camp, get a friend who you can process with, and you can check in with the camp director, and see how your kiddo's doing. Be careful what you write to them, so that there's not that message of "I'm dying without you." It's more that message of "I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to hear about the things you've accomplished and the friends you've made. You're bringing me joy."
Oh, that's so beautiful. I always tell parents too, especially first-time parents who tend to be the most emotional, like at bus, as the bus drives away, is to smile and wave, and so that your child's last vision of you is you looking excited for them. And then, then you turn to your friend or your spouse and you're like, oh my gosh. But like she was telling the story about the boy who's worrying about her parents. Kids do worry about their parents. And if you're saying, I don't know what I'll do without you for these weeks, that's something that could also weigh on them. And when they're starting to feel uncomfortable, they can glop onto that and say, oh, well, my mom really needs me at home. It's true, so anyway, so these are just a few little tips about just some ideas of if you have just a camper who's either someone who's just saying they don't ever want to go, or they're signed up and they were excited, but now they're feeling hesitant. Just a few little ideas. And I'll put a link in the comments to some more posts that are related to this topic. But thanks so much for joining us. Like I said, if you have any questions about summer camp, please submit them in the comments or via email. I'd love to have Sarah or other camp directors join me on a future episode of Ask Me Anything About Summer Camp, which will be going on for the next couple weeks. Also, I want to let you know I did a really fun interview series with 18 different day and resident camps, some phenomenal programs. They're all accredited by the American Camp Association. It's my Happy Campers interview series. If you go to sunshine-parenting.com and click on the link, you'll be able to watch the interviews with all these fabulous camp directors, most of whom who've been at their programs for a really long time, in programs that are very intentional about the social and emotional growth of kids, and will be really great at taking care of your anxious or homesick camper. So highly recommend you checking those interviews out and checking those camps out, because there is still space in some of their sessions and in some age groups. And so it's not too late even for this summer to sign up your child for camp. So if you have any other questions about camp, shoot them our way. Thanks for joining us today.
Happy camping.
Bye.